intro.
Oh!
I'll let you know when the intro music is over for our good delicious needs, and I'll give them a good crack there. The other day I went to my gig at Fishbowl, and that's a place where the bar staff can't drink with me, unfortunately, especially when there's no one there. That's kind of sad.
No, there's standards here.
So the bartender says, "Would you like to shotgun a Red Bull?" And I just drank a big old espresso, like a quadruple shot. And I was like, let's see what this little heart can take.
You've been training at Panera Bread all your life?
Dude, I never appreciated Panera Bread till I used the facility for what it's intended for, which is squatting for more than 8 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was playing in Del Rey, and I decided, instead of bothering my buddy who works from home, I'm going to go make set lists at a Panera Bread. And I was there for 6 hours, just drinking the one coffee I bought, having a great time. Just refills, new coffee, refills, blow up the bathroom, new refills, let's do this thing.
How's that shower sitch?
I would say it wasn't tall enough for what I wanted to use it for, but as a bathtub, once I clogged it after shaving, it was super convenient. Beautiful sinks. Devin and Andrew, what's going on?
Matt Waters, man, I love you.
I love you guys. Thank you so much for coming on today. We have so much to discuss, but first and foremost, may I say thank you both so much for everything you do in our musical community. There's nothing like what you two have established. There's no one like the two of you. And your work is greatly underappreciated, but not for long, because we're here to make some fucking noise about it.
Everybody louder! Yeah, cracking seedlesses. Delicious.
That is delicious. What, can you market that as a soda, even though it's made by a brewery?
It is an NA.
Can you market it as a soda?
I mean, you can market it however you want, but I cannot condone or deny.
Beer for kids, not approved.
Not approved by anyone.
You can actually put a nutrition label on it, where you can't do that for beer. It's the same, not the same fruit and content, but it actually is good for you now.
Is that your ringtone?
You know what? Somebody's calling me right now.
Answer it on speaker. I dare you.
I will do this.
Okay, cool. Let it rip.
Jay Hill, rap music.
Woo!
Rap music. What is good?
Man, how you doing? We are on Matt Waters' podcast right now.
You are
Welcome, Jay.
live.
Oh, what is good, Matt Waters? How is the world doing?
Brother, this weekly wave is wetter than a Snickers that's been left on the hot sidewalks of beautiful state of Texas. You know what I'm saying? Dripping.
Yeah, it's rather moist.
Moist January.
Would you like to give us a list of the worst 3 things you've ever bought at a Costco? And go.
Definitely, like, okay, the Costco pizza's awesome, but when you get it, like, anytime before 11 a.m., honestly, you're just making a bad decision with your life.
Good opener.
So that's definitely, it might be that all 3 times, if I'm being honest. I can remember each trip to the toilet.
The pizza at 9 a.m., 10 a.m., and 11 a.m.
Yeah. And that's the thing, they don't even open till 10. I know this. I drive Instacart. I gotta get there. Why are you eating Costco pizza at 9 a.m.? So then the second place is that chicken thing. That chicken Alfredo biscuit thing they have.
Woo!
Yes.
You know the one?
I know the one.
You are a card-carrying champion.
And then other than that, I don't have a Costco membership. You can't really buy much else.
We've been deceived.
He's out of here. Get him out of here. He doesn't
Jay,
have the membership.
You got a show coming up? Is that what this call is pertaining to? You want to make a plug?
This is totally about that.
Give him the plug.
So, February 2nd, the release show of my new EP, Sienna, will be at Radio Artifact, and I was calling to talk about the ticket price because I just printed some really cool posters with no ticket price on them.
That's great, man. So we can either do that now, or I can give you a call back here shortly.
Negotiate prices.
You can do that in a bit. Y'all have a great time.
Okay.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you for calling, and thank you for jumping in on this. I love you.
May rap be with you.
Rap music be with you all.
Rap me with you.
I don't think we could ask for better time.
Yeah,
No,
what a
that-
beautiful appearance.
That's our dear friend Jay Hill. He's 50 foot tall on the side of a building.
Yes.
Like, he can rap music. You've probably seen him around town.
And how much is working on the booking, management, production side of a venue opened up your personal listening basis, gentlemen? Because I can only imagine how radical that has been.
Well, like, as a musician, I listen to stuff constantly, but as a sound, lighting, whatever, production and so on, it's whatever is on, right? Like, I think the biggest thing for us is just holding space for whatever it is that your art
like
is.
a canvas.
Yeah, just keeping our little brain eyes open.
Straight up,
Yeah,
there's
no.
neurons firing on all cylinders.
Yeah.
Well, and also participating in the music, regardless what's actually going on. It's so interesting to watch the way that you two work so well hand in hand. I've mentioned this a couple times on the show, where it's like, all right, I can't watch the show. I'm participating in the show. I'm 45 minutes into a set. Every time I turn around, the screens behind me are going fucking nuts. People are liking it. The lights are great. The mix is great. But then I see Andrew's out here with a handheld camera that's now feeding into this permalapse going on the projectors. And it's like, you guys have just continually refined how this robot gets up and walks into your life. And it is fucking crazy.
It is wild.
It's completely insane. It is the Starship Radio Artifact. We are on a mission of rock and roll and rap music, and we are here for a good time.
I think rock and roll should include rap music. I think it's in the category. It's more about the louder the better. Let's angst it up a little bit, and if you need to jump around, jump around.
It does. I think,
Yeah.
Devin, I think our definition in that Venn diagram of rock and roll and rap music is literally just everything. It's all rock and roll.
Yeah.
It's all rap music. Like, it's all theater.
Yeah. So particularly on this topic, though, of the handheld with the iPhone mix station on it, like, when did you start to reach for this new limitation of what you can do during a set? Because it's just bizarre to watch.
We had to, because it's just
It's
us
just
with all
us
the
with the
hats.
live production, yeah.
Yeah.
So it becomes like I can't just leave and go back to the board, and so it's the converse is just put the mix board on the brig and mix while you film.
And is that sending a Wi-Fi signal that you're receiving on the OBS side of things, or?
So that's controlling the Midas board.
Yes, yeah. The mix
the
station
phone.
is on the phone, but
And
for
then
the
the wireless video is going through a Tetric that gets fed into the back of.
We have a custom designed PC that we call Hallie B, and it will sometimes not open the bay doors, Dave. So we've got this custom designed PC thing. It all goes in, and we've got a whole bunch of software and whatnot that's running. We've got 8 discrete SDI inputs on this thing, and we've got 8 discrete screens that we can send anything to, and it's completely silly. And one of them happens to be the wireless Teradek cam.
Dude, it is wild to watch everything that you two are capable of in that. So my question with how far this has come, and how many years have you both now been involved with Radio Artifact?
2017, 2016, prior even.
Yeah.
We were doing DeVita House before this, and that was our place that we lived. And
Playground for a lot of this stuff early on. We had acoustic treatment that we projection mapped onto.
we hung speakers from the rafters, and
In a
like
basement.
DeVita House, where's this at?
it was on
It
Eden.
lives in our hearts now.
It lives in our hearts now.
Give me an address, damn it.
If you look up old posters, it's on there.
Okay.
That was kind of the problem. And that's what led to too many people coming to our house far too often. And we were...
The city put on the banhammer.
Yeah, Banhammer. We were not allowed to do that anymore.
So
we
Van
got
Halen.
yeah, we got to move into Urban Artifact at the time and do our DeVita Fest or whatever. That kind of snowballed into being involved in the general production of things 7 days a week and helping manage that. And once we did a bunch of the work on the room, that was a long kind of process. We worked out that the theme of the room was acoustic attenuation and sensory kind of manipulation or a suggestion, really.
Yeah.
We did all that work. It was like the week before the shutdown and then the shutdown.
And did you work through the shutdown on, just like the actual hanging of the treatments and whatnot? Like, did you?
So most of that had already been done.
We're done with that.
And it was that was actually the impetus to pivot into
The live stream and like really lean into this is the new frontier of watching being interactive with entertainment experiences.
Yeah, this is the front row opportunity that you're really selling people as the opening for the quality.
Mm-hmm.
And had you two worked together in a space before DeVita House, or was that kind of your personal?
There was a proto version
Yeah, so
up the street from there.
funny enough, some other friends, long story short, this all kind of happens back into like the origin story of rock and roll. Had a little PA system and was helping some friends do some shows with it, and then was doing some house shows, and we were friends with some of the same people that were having house shows. And then I showed up one day at the Countdown House, and Andrew's on the porch, and he's like, "Hey, I got these K12 speakers, man. What if, like, we use them for something?" And I was like, "Dude, I don't know you, but that sounds great."
Dude, anyone showing up with K12s, you're like, oh, you like quality and actionability. I can see. Like, let's do something with this.
The agency to do.
And the Behringer X32 Compact when that first came out.
Yeah. Well,
That was my very first mixer.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your very first? Man,
'Cause
you
was
an eye
doing
for
a lot
quality.
of research, and I almost made the mistake of getting, a one that wasn't that.
Yeah.
A
That was
different
also
one.
new.
No, put it to shame. Tell us what it was.
It was the QSC, the touch.
The touch mix?
Yeah.
Which can only do, it can't multi-track, correct?
And it didn't have all, like, physical buttons, and I think, I don't remember the specs, but it didn't have, like, the internal routing, because I was getting into mixing and production with a bootleg copy of Pro Tools and the lowest interface at that time that would allow it.
Yeah.
And I wanted all this functionality for gates and compression and busing and effects and stuff. And I almost got that. It had some of it. And then I saw the X32. It was just new. And I've loved that interface, like that workflow, the sends on faders kind of thing, ever since. About the K12s. Kyle actually has those right now.
Kyle Hackett. Yeah.
Well, and since we're talking about the beautiful Kyle Hackett, may I say to you again, the #1 streamed album for me in 2023, not because I like you, not because I like Kyle, not because I like anything about the fact that this is a Cincinnati band and I want to support that. It's just because the music was the favorite thing that entered into my life. The Feels was my #1 album, and every time I put it on, I just think about all the work that you poured into that, brother. So,
Dude, I'm so glad to hear that. I fucking love those guys. It was a dream to get to work on that. And
You done good.
yeah,
You guys done good.
yeah. So thank you for those words.
absolutely, man. Tell me again, what's the song that opens up with that the bass intro that has that awesome filter sweep to it?
Boom. Do, 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 do.
Yeah, exactly.
Where's the track? It's in front of me.
Here, I'll pull it up.
It's not I Know, is it?
Nope.
Da-doo-doo.
Nope.
Dude, what a great song as well.
Supportive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh, I just
Yeah.
had to say the wrong one to...
to stir the pot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can put those track lists up. That'll help.
Yeah. Well, sincerely, such a beautiful album. You did a fantastic job, and you can't look at the numbers as a qualification as a success. You almost need to lean on the anecdotal side when it comes to art. It's like, did any individuals feel strongly enough about this? It's like, it changed my year. I know other people would change their year. So marvelous stuff, my brother.
Dude, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and to stick on that level of, I just need to thank you guys for tons of things. But the other day, I'm watching Riverfront Live get announced for another show that's coming up, and the promo video that's playing,
Pushing Daisies.
exactly, radio artifact footage. It's like,
Yeah, they came in, they did the thing, and now they've got it for promo.
exactly. If there's anything that your product serves most potently for, it's bands that are moving into the 1,500 caps, the 2,000 caps, and they need to have this footage that you can plug and play. You can send to every venue that's on your tour list, and this is going to be the basis of how people get an idea of who and what you are in a place that's climate controlled for you to rock as hard as you want, walk out of there, and it's still going to stand to do the thing. There's no other space capable in the Midwest.
No, it's a really unique thing that we've carved out in that we conduct ourselves to be transparent with kind of a stylistic. We can go from 0 to 100 as far as how stylized we are in our capture or whatever, but we're reasonably transparent in our capture. It's an honest representation of you as an artist. If you show up on time, play in tune, and play on time, and you're good.
You can opt out of that shit.
Yeah.
Even. You know, I've done it. You know, like I've untuned and gotten out of time.
Yeah.
And it's like, and now I'm making changes in post production because you guys send out beautiful files. It's like, these are building blocks of accreditation that you can take into every sphere that your band is going to evolve through. It's like, it's a way to kick through a glass ceiling that you didn't know you were going to butt up against at the wrong time in the wrong place. You now have a reason for people to have a full understanding of what you're capable of and what you're trying to push. And there's not many other spheres that have gone through the lengths that two musicians would to make a production space that useful. You know, especially folks that aren't trying to make a retirement fund off of it, but instead pour their money and soul into the next batch of gear that's going to make this place better. Like, down to the live stream footage. The live stream video from this album to the big crash, exponentially better. I don't know what you did. I don't know if it's just an upload quality, but it's like we went
just
from
learning.
It looks like it went from 720 to 4K. I'm stoked about it.
Yeah, and thank you for coming in and using us as that kind of platform and using us in that capacity.
And seeing the value in that. It's sometimes hard to get across.
To elucidate kind of all that we can do. Like, lately I've just been saying we make TV shows. Like, if you want it to look like TV, we make TV.
And that's a great way to put it because people perceive it as a venue space at times, and it's like, if it was just that, you'd be getting 2/10 of the quality offer. Like it's not worthwhile to just be a venue because there's so many other rooms that you could do that aren't capable of this thing. So when people come knocking on the door, be prepared for the full buy-in, or else no one here is getting their time wisely used.
Oh, for sure.
And it's tough when I'm sure the email gets bogged down with folks who are just looking for a spot to play. And God bless them. Everyone's sending those emails out.
Sorry if we haven't gotten back to you yet.
Yeah, there's a long list of, I wish we could, yeah.
Yeah. But you know, when folks are looking for venues, it's hard to get a perception of what that is off the website. So you just email and see what happens. But the more that the footage itself can circulate as promotional video for Pushing Daisies, you know, a live album for me, a live album for Jay for his EP release. It's like, these are the components that help people not only understand it, but to aim and achieve at what y'all are capable of achieving.
It's the same thing that any good musician, right? Or whatever it is that your thing is that you practice all the time. It's the same thing for us. We're in the studio practicing how to make our TV show run more efficiently and better. We just added a teleprompter and a karaoke thing. We're about to have the slickest karaoke, hands down.
Thursday night, 7 o'clock.
Thursday night, 7 o'clock. You already know. Sign up start at 6:30. Let's go.
I was looking on the website because I was doing my gigs this week, and I only have one gig this week with the honeymoon. I was like, I'm just going to push shows for the rest of the weekend and see what I can find.
Oh, yeah.
And I see karaoke all over this, and I'm like, that shit's about to be crazy.
Yes.
It's almost like American Idol without the conceitedness, because you can walk in and get crazy footage of you murdering karaoke on something and then start sending it out like you're booking gigs. And they're like, you actually only know that one Carrie Underwood song? They're like, why do you think I brought my boombox? And you're like, okay, hold on. You looked a little too pro for what this
Props
is.
are not allowed. You're not. Get out of here. What is this?
You goddamn hippies. You coming in here with your Carrie Underwood boomboxes, your knee-high boots, and suddenly I'm not wearing sandals anymore, am I? I'm barefoot, baby.
Look, I keep sneakers in the closet for just such an occasion.
God damn, you perv.
I can't help myself. What are you going to do? Sometimes it's what you like.
So you're walking in to run sound for this house show. He's got a pair of K-12s. Did you two immediately start delegating who's doing what? Or was it kind of like spending enough time around each other to learn the talents of the other one and then start to parse out who's doing what?
Well, it's kind of been like we're very different people, and we go about life kind of very differently, and we think about things very differently, and just over time, just spending an amount of time getting to see what because you don't know what other people's experience is or what they know or they don't know or whatever. And it's just kind of been a natural patientness with, I'd say, our friendship and our like working together has been, okay, what about that? And we not that we disagree all the time, but we have different approaches to the same problem, that whichever one makes the most sense and is the least amount of work usually wins.
And thank God for it too, because like we're both very wrong very often, and to have each other there to sort of
weigh things off of has been it's been useful. We like it gets along, and without being,
it's been a blessing.
Without being a problem.
Well, and I think when the hardest thing for bands is once we've agreed on desired outcome, it's delegating those parts of the process of how we get there. When it comes to intense problem solving, sometimes two people starting at different points and trying to end up in the same place can be a huge benefit to the efficiency of getting there. Whichever one lands on it first, then we start pushing the ship. But then when folks get their ego involved in something as subjective as art can be, it's really tough to move past the desired outcome. You're a different starting point than I am, and I can't agree on you starting there because I want to get here, and I need you to do this. Versus you two both seem extremely independent in the fact that we can both address this issue at the same time and not interact till we necessarily need to, and then suddenly we have a collaborative solution to this one thing.
Independent parallel processing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like that.
That's really well put.
And being personally detached from the outcome, just being open to finding what's going to do the thing.
Yeah. And so
best.
when you two had moved past this point of we're doing these house shows, suddenly that kind of gets the plug pulled and we need a space. Was Urban an automatic let's go there? Or did the universe just kind of spit this thing in front of you? You're like, maybe.
I think, well, I mean, I immediately started driving around to places like in OTR, trying to find like potential places to do stuff. I think like one of the possibilities was what's the tunnel place? The Mockbee before its current iteration, but it wasn't. It was still in limbo as to its operation at that time. That whole place has its own history.
It has a beautiful history, and there's so many great things that have happened there. And sometimes it's tough when you're talking about capital. There's a lot of issues with holding on to capital of that kind of stature. You know, whether it's the liquor license associated with the building or the electricity for the building itself. Like to eventually find yourselves as sole proprietors of a tenable space but not having to be the owners of the facility kind of feels like the best outcome for what this has become. Would you agree with that, or is it kind of
In a lot of ways, for sure. And to kind of back up is when the shutdown happened, it became apparent immediately that we, Radio Artifact, do not make or sell or do whatever with Midwest fruit tarts, which is what Urban Artifact does. That's like their thing. And then they have a tap room. So like that's an entire thing that we don't do. Like we're supportive of it, but like that's not our thing.
And we couldn't add any value during the shutdown. And so
and as basically the loss leader for the whole thing, we were separated with the option a little while later to come back, and we're now
to make it ours. We're a separate entity.
We're a separate business from Urban Artifact. We are Radio Artifact. So when you send messages to me/us or whatever and say, hey, I want to play at Urban, my immediate answer is like, I'm going to say, hey, we're Radio Artifact.
Hit up Urban.
This is a different thing. Yeah.
And it's
we're maybe a fast track to help get there, but it's like if I call you up as Matt Waters and say, hey, I want to play at Cincy Tin Roof, because I know you play there sometimes.
Yeah, it's like now I'm going to have to put you in a different category here, and what's my interest in helping you in that? It's like, it's minimal. And there's things that are branding, and then there's other things that are, they they're telling as to the research you've done and your understanding of what this thing is. And again, like the folks that aren't going to come and utilize the space to the fullest, it's like someone making a reservation at a restaurant and saying, I don't want to eat there, I just like to sit at the table. It's like,
I'd like to bring my own food or whatever. I'll bring my own PA system and play in the corner. It's
Yeah.
like, well, that's fine somewhere else, but that's not what this is.
when the other day I'm having dinner with my wife at Soto, and I pulled out my PA and I start playing. I'm like, why aren't you paying me yet? And it's
Right,
like, what the fuck is this?
Do you understand the value I bring?
Yeah, exactly. You think your pasta's al dente? Wait till you see how rock hard my acoustic tunes are.
Listen to these noodles.
Listen to them.
Diddly-diddly-diddly.
Soda was delicious. I don't think they watched this program, but I am now free of liability. Thank you very much.
No, they do a good job then.
They do a great job. But it is just, it's a basic understanding of what's going on there, and it's certainly been a path to watch y'all navigate that branding and whatnot.
So the in-between there from 2020 and prior, before we came to Urban, so that was serendipitous because we were going to have DeVita Fest.
We were
right?
doing DeVita Fest, yeah.
And so we needed a place for that because that was now nixed at DeVita House. And Urban Artifact
Happened to be a long happenstance. I was friends with somebody who was doing some booking and introduced me to Scott Hand, who's one of the owners of Urban Artifact as the overall thing. And we kind of got along initially and gave us the trial run of coming in and having our DeVita Fest upstairs. And then we never really moved out, or they never really kicked us out.
And they put a ton of the space that we're in, Radio Artifacts Live Studio. Even in its initial iteration, the idea was always to have an acoustically sound spot. So it was concrete floor, and
It was a concrete
box,
box,
but
yeah.
there was treatment on the walls more than any other place you would find, even at that time.
Yeah, it just still sounded like a concrete box, and it had the pole in the center. It's like there was a reputation that superseded what the space could do up until y'all have done what you have. And even then, it's like people still don't have an understanding of the changes that have happened in that space. You know, I can remember the last time I had played there before y'all had done what you did, which was like a Christmas show where the girl I was dating at the time, like her car got broken into and the set sounded like shit. And it's just like, oh, there's issues at this point in the game. And then the next time I set foot in there, I had just stepped out. Maybe it was for a Wednesday for when y'all did the open mic, when I see Lucky Spalding up there doing his loop set.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd never seen Lucky doing his show, and you guys have run these crazy lights behind it, and I was a little crossed at the time. And I am just getting obliterated mentally by this show. I'm like, this is the coolest shit I've ever seen.
Shout out to Lucky, because he's real good at it.
Lucky's phenomenal. And what y'all provide to that kind of a show, it's like there's dynamics to be felt but not really understood that happens with the lighting or just the ambiance of the room. Like, one thing I tell folks about Radio Artifact is now when you walk through the confessional doors, it's, you know, it sucks the air out of the room. It's been treated so well. And then the lights dim, you know, and the band comes out, the projectors flip on, you get the countdown. It's like there's all these things that you wouldn't say, like, that's what made the difference. But the whole difference that is made is massive for what it is.
Well, figure it's the same way with having a band or conducting a band, right? If you've got a bunch of players who are tight and know how to serve the song, you're going to end up with you're going to yield a much better product than if you've got a bunch of folks who are like kind of loose and it's like kind of a free-for-all and it's like
And without being able to necessarily point to, it was that guy, it was that instrument, it was that.
It's just overall loose.
Yes.
And like, that's fine. That's fun. That can be fun. That can totally be fun. But it's also fun to learn a Rush song exactly the way they play it because that's how they wrote it.
Yes.
It's cool.
Absolutely. Well, and I can only imagine the steps that's taken for your overall musicianship to be in this kind of role and then step back into your primary. Like, Devin, you and I had a wonderful time on the road this year. You sounded great, and it came at... The conversation starts with, man, I've been thinking about playing a little bit more. How many days we gone? You know, it's like I throw 3 hours of music at you. We grind it out for 2 days, and then we hit the road, and we have an absolute blast.
Oh, it was great. I loved it.
Do you feel like being in the space where you've taken on all these new challenges, all you've ever done in the last, 5 years with this is grow musically, but not necessarily musically? It's not like hands on a fretboard doing that thing. It was all about this other experience in the music. We got a cable going wrong over there, gentlemen.
Sorry.
You guys bring a cat? What's going on?
Yeah, we got. Yeah,
you
you
guys
see us being.
I wanna be able to lean
Give me your
back.
Scantron. Give me your Scantron. Is that Type 1 pencil? You fucking felon. Oh.
That's an incredible move.
Yes, I love that play. I mean, it immediately makes me feel more confident as a human being for you to be at a lower level. I don't know what it is. Maybe I need another stage.
Let me sit up here. I gotta get in on this. No, but so backstory. Whatever happened and needs a bass player. I just happen to kind of be one, and to say, hey, can you come play 3 days of like on the road with me? I got 3 hours of music. It's next week, and to just take that on as a
Cue the montage.
yeah, it was legit. Cue the montage. Sit down, learn the music, and first show is what it is. It was great. It was a lovely time. The engineer there, what was that place called? The first one.
Where did we go first? I can't even remember.
It was some like outback like porch thing.
Okay, we're in Indianapolis and we were at I'm gonna be back there this summer. Fuck.
Rockin' Flockin'
No.
Sherbers.
Quit throwing out wrong answers. I'm not like Andrew. I don't even have this on the top of the mind. It's a beautiful beer garden.
It was a beer garden.
Rathskeller.
Rathskeller.
Yeah.
They were great. Their sound guy was great. The little amphitheater was super cool.
Gorgeous.
But by the third show, it was like reasonably tight as like a band, like playing with like you and Nick Hack. Like it was great. Superb drummer. Like, and Matt, dude, you're a wonderful musician and a player. Like you know how to show up and play the thing and do it well.
Thank you, brother.
Like,
and you know, there's this big task at hand to learn this music, to perform this music, and then also to bring a level of showmanship and enjoy to it that's like someone could come to this and be like, wow, I really like that band. Like, what's the takeaway of being on the road?
Mm-hmm.
Trying to convert strangers into new fans. And you superseded all these roles, especially by the third show. We're having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
But then also while we're out there, you're making little improvements on the show that are lasting to this day, like labeling my snake. That now every time I get to that snake, I'm like, thank God he went with the white electrical tape, because this is going to leave so much less adhesive, just like he said. You know, it's like little things like that where it's how you've learned to operate over the last 5 years being in the space. Like, we're not going to address the same problem twice. We move on today into this new thing.
And to address exactly that, and how I think we operate, or at least my own little mantra, is like, our job is to hold space for other people to do their art. And in relation to playing bass with you for that thing, or for anybody, my role is to hold the space of a bass player. It's not to be like, whatever I can do to take over the Matt Waters show, because it's the Matt Waters show. Like, I'm there to be supportive of that. Because like it's your thing that we're going out to do. Like, thank you for sharing that with me. It would be nice if I then show up and make sure that it's the Matt Waters show and not like me trying to be whatever it is that I do. Like, you know, it's the ego thing. Like, just let it go.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine. Just get up and rock.
Yeah, do the thing at hand. And it's like, and you did it really well, and also on a new instrument. It was so interesting to watch you with these fan frets. This is a bass that you provided, correct? Like, wasn't this an amazing birthday gift or something like that?
This is a wedding gift.
It's an amazing wedding gift. Yeah, dude, I've never played something with fan frets. He brings in the first day of rehearsal, and I'm like,
let me feel
hippie?
that.
Yeah, I was like, give me that.
What is this like?
What's this new age bullshit you doing over there? Is this a Tesla?
Oh, dude, that's so fun. I didn't know you played that.
Oh, yeah,
on the tour.
I play the
time.
ding wall all the time. I love it. It's a completely different, like, physicality, sort of.
Oh, yeah.
And the way the whole thing's set up, it's the Nolly Get Good version or whatever of...
Did you say it's called Dingwall?
It's a ding wall, and it's fan frets.
Hilarious
name. Come from, like, Australia, and they're great. And it's completely... It's like a brain puzzle, especially up on, like, the higher frets.
Yeah.
It's
weird to look at.
Brain puzzle. Yeah, well, we were hanging out with our friend Freakbass one day, and he's over in the studio. We're doing whatever we were doing, and oh yeah, have you played one of these? He says no. Takes it for a little spin. He was like, dude, that's weird, man. Like, when even Freakbass is like, dude, that's gonna take some getting used to, isn't it?
But then you see some folks that are like, I'm never going back to traditional frets, like John Gentry. It's like one of the gnarliest guitar players you'll ever watch. And this guy's way more at home on this weird fan fretboard that like you won't see him play a normal git fiddle at this point. It's just his style, you know.
Oh, and John's a monster, dude.
Especially with Chris Ellison, those two were disgusting together.
Oh, Chris Ellison, we love him so much.
Yeah, I forget what the name of their BC duo or something like that. I think that was the name of their group when they used to do it. But Andrew, turning that to over the last couple of years of being in this production space, but also still playing guitar. Like you played on the Fields album a little bit, right? You did some like the ethereal stuff.
I
walked
did.
in one day and you were playing something.
I don't know if I did a lot of production and some amount of direction, maybe refinement. I don't know if I played anything.
Okay.
I can't remember.
Because I walked in one day and y'all are doing a listen through on the album, and I just got to chill with the band, and you had been plugged into Kyle's amp playing something, and I thought Kyle had told me that you had played something on there, but maybe I'm wrong in that. But just in how these experiences affect your personal performance, are you still picking up a guitar actively?
Not as much as I really would like to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's the
It's part of the thing sometimes it's
and yeah, it's been a hiatus of creativity personally, while getting to explore on the studio side. So I look forward to the day where I get to sort of mirror that and create again, play out again.
Yeah. Does it change the way you think about your instrument even in absence, where it's like addressing kind of the sonic qualities of what you're working with, whether that's through pedals or amps, or do you more just long for the time with the instrument to feel the way that your hands interact with this set of strings and the way that the day is felt and that kind of thing?
It's the melodies, it's the I don't know, the end result. So not any particular pedal or guitar. It's just being able to create.
Yeah.
And it's not an idea that I need to get out, but just the fact of creating.
Yeah.
That I long for.
I think we all have this. Once you become comfortable with your instrument, once you're past proficient, and it's not about playing something, it's about having something visit you and being able to convert on that. It's like when the muse decides to kick you upside the head, can you capture that footprint as identically as it land in the back of your dome, or does it go through this filter and not look anything like it was? Like, regardless, you've played with the inspiration, but there's something really magical about being able to convert accurately. You know, when a line wakes me up at 3 a.m., it's like by the time I get to the living room and I sit down with the guitar, what I thought that was has changed so much in that amount of time versus being able to, oh, I'm sitting right here with it. Here it came, here it is. And that's such a feeling I think we all long for at times. It's such a relief when it comes as is and lands intact.
And to that end, I'm fully enamored with your studio here.
Thank you.
It's like to be able to have that just ready to go for drums or guitar, bass, vocals is inspiring. And in a way that I think if I had it at home, I think the biggest issue for me is I need to keep it. I don't need to keep it clean, but I need to keep it clean.
Yeah.
In the space. It's because
there's a difference between a personal space and a commercial space.
And a shared space. So like at home, I would be fine with a rat's nest of stuff, and it's just all, it's horizontal storage.
Yes.
And everything's where it's supposed to be for me. But I think I want to try to make a home studio of some degree, just to be able to. I think that would help because there's less a barrier to entry creatively if it's there and it's ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And that's why. Sorry. In the studio, we are there and we're ready to go, and whoever comes in, whatever it is,
we're pretty much ready for it, but we have to set up and tear down. Like, we have an amount still of that where it's all.
But we don't have to run audio cables or video lines, take equipment out.
We're turnkey ready.
Yeah.
No, exactly. And you mentioned at one point maybe there's a house kit that should be in Radio Artifact versus how often do you have to take that house kit apart and put it in a storage closet because someone else for this caliber of performance and capture wants to play what they're comfortable on. It's like the really amazing thing about this blessing that I have here that I did not earn, that I wouldn't even say I deserve, but I've been endowed with and I want to use the absolute fullest, is I come over to my childhood home, a place where I feel immensely comfortable, and the moment that I get hit with an idea, I'm a lazy piece of shit if I don't execute on every single ounce of that. And now I can save myself the simple cost of going to another studio, but also to be uninterrupted by. It's like, if I text my wife, I'm not coming home, like I can go sleep in my childhood bedroom, come back down here in a half hour when I have another thought, get back to tracking with it. And it doesn't need to be efficient for anybody else but me. And I recently had Nick Heffron on the show. I don't know if you...
Oh, we love Nick.
Yeah.
Nick is a wonderful guy.
Nick Heffron, we love you.
He and I are... We're a little bit competitive, and we also love each other to death, so we had a great time on the podcast. And I was like, all right, let's see track every element of a song right now. And we just ran through a demo, and we had a really good time doing it. And I think for my sake, and I'm sure you two are the same, it's like when I design something to be used quickly, efficiently, at the best of its ability, and I get to share that with other people, that's one of the most fulfilling aspects of it, because I can sit here and tinker all day. I can move that mic, I can go with a different design, I can make all these subjective decisions. And when you're making songs, sometimes you build a house of cards of subjective decisions only to flick out the bottom and say fuck it. Versus when you're working with someone else, it's like, oh no, this thing must persevere. We will get to the end of this.
We're building a bridge at that point.
Exactly.
And I think to address kind of the whole thing that we're talking here is that work-life balance, and taking when art is the work and the life, it becomes very difficult to compartmentalize where you're spending your energy and how, or finding yourself in unhealthy habits with it. And being conscientious of, okay, I have this amount of time to do this, I have this amount of time to do that. But if I run over a little bit on my own time because I want to play, because it's my own extracurricular, I can sit at home and learn a Jamiroquai song because I've got an hour and that sounds like fun to me.
Yeah.
Or I can go do emails for a little while, or I can just not do anything for this hour and I can just veg on TikTok or whatever.
Yeah. Or when you turn your kick drum into a gravity bong and then you find out that you actually need a kick drum, not a gravity bong, and you try to convert it back and you're like, what do I do with all this water? It's like there's
only one thing to do, and that's get hydrated, baby.
There's life in art, and sometimes art imitates life, man, and sometimes you just fucked up that kick drum irreparably.
Well, and how does this work for you as well? Like, Matt Waters you're a brand. You are your own brand. You are your own, like, enterprise, essentially. Like, how do you justify where that ends for you, like, personally versus commercially?
The first thing I do is address the competition. So I've been planning... okay, I can't make that joke. I was going to make a bunch of jokes about taking down car rental spaces because you said enterprise.
Yeah.
But arson jokes really don't fly well when there's...
facts, car facts.
My bad, internet. But, thankfully, this has been the only career I've ever had. I've never had a normal job. So the only thing that separates my personal life from my work life is trying to be considerate towards my wife and partner, because the rest of my life is thankfully included under that big umbrella of, oh, that's work. Like, write it off, put it on the calendar, like something like this. Like, the hard thing with living as a brand and trying to have my all-encompassing business always moving forward is, and I mention this almost on every show, it's like I'm only talking about my shows, my songs, my shows, my songs, versus now my Wednesdays are strictly about loving my community to the absolute fullest, whether that's the songwriter night or sitting down with folks like yourself and trying to have the folks that are kind enough to listen to my work, whether it be songs or this program, to see the value in really appreciating our local artist community. And I have this... I had a discussion with them for a long time about if we were going to move somewhere else, if I need to be somewhere else to be successful. And after we got married, there was this decision that if we're going to raise kids, it's going to be here where we're around family and we've had this experience in this life that we love. So now I am of the utmost belief that I need to make Cincinnati the music town that I need it to be. And the only way I do that is by bringing up the people around me and by encouraging folks to see the quality in the things that I know have immense output for bettering our community. And y'all are something that I bring up to every artist group, every songwriter I find, because there's only so many ways to make the appeal to listeners that this is worth it, that this is worth your Friday night or your Wednesday night. And in a world where the internet can satiate this need for entertainment or excitement, it's like this is the one way that you get something that's all-encompassing. I can land 15 seconds on your TikTok that will say, give me 3 minutes. That will say, give me an hour. That will say, get the fuck out the house, come here on a Friday night, put $15 in the jar, get yourself a drink, and see what happens.
Amen.
It's a hard conversion to make for people, especially when we've only gotten lazier with what makes us happy. But in the end pursuit of art at its finest, it's people that are making that difference, and there's not many folks that do it as wholesomely as you two have continued to, because this industry can be so predatory and disturbing at times, you know?
It is a business, and a lot of people are out for what serves them. If I want you to do something, and clearly I just want you to do something for me, that's a different proposition than how can we work together? What is like how is this actually serving to help other people? Which, same thing for us to do our shows or whatever it is that we're doing, is we can't live in a vacuum. Like, we need the community and the community outreach, which kind of brings us to what's new in 2024 and how we're operating and what we're doing, which is a big thing, a flip switched for me recently, which is dealing with booking is trying to deal with 500 different people who all want to do their show is an awful lot to like deal with and sift through and figure out, and like, now I've got to ask you questions and whatever. Pro tip, if you want to do a show someplace, send a link to your thing, send your logo to whoever it is, send all of the things that they would need to know exactly how to respond to you. If you type, my band, the Hammer Jammers, want to play with, and we've got, you know, the band XYZ and the band Hammers over here, but you only just type that, you might as well just handwritten me a note and like left it on my car windshield. What am I going to do with this? Like, what, you want me to go find the thing that you could have just sent me a link?
No disrespect to the Jammer Hammers and the band Hammers.
Yeah. I'm sure they're great.
Well, and the worst part about that is that we all know that the band Hammer Slammers are getting ripped off with the copyright that they have on the Slam Jams.
I know, man. It's really a slammer ranch. A slam-a-vanch.
And that's why fruit tarts can't be made into jellies or jams. They need to be made into delicious beverages.
No, it's very true. But that brings us back to programming for 2024, like First Friday hip-hop theater kind of thing. We've got like a Second Friday thing, a Last Friday thing. We're doing we're figuring out how to make
a month in review thing and looking ahead thing.
With karaoke on Thursdays, we're filling out our calendar in a way that makes it a workload that we can manage. Mm-hmm. Which is a big thing if you're with like a whole business or whatever, because we have to make this viable for us to be able to do this in the first place.
And also in ways that like are uplifting artists in the artistic community.
Yeah. Serving the community in a way, and different communities. We're friends with all kinds of different flocks of life. Like, everybody's got their own little thing that they're working on, and just being generally supportive in a way that gives context to these different things. Because like, we're not a band exactly, but we want to help your thing succeed, whatever that is or looks like. And having other oddball things fill in the calendar, but just generally trying to be consciously supportive of the community that we live in. Yeah.
Well, I think there's a lot of brilliance in what you just said. Like, one of them being like, when you reach out to a venue, one, do the research as to what the venue does best. Then clarity for the date, what you want, and the links to know that you're capable of doing it. And also, why don't you make the soft assumption that they're going to say yes and give the next batch of needed materials? So it's not like I'm revisiting the email. I got your logo, I got your bio. Like, I got a guy that's still waiting on my logo and my bio, and I feel like a dipshit for it. But just assuming that we're going to take the next step so that person feels comfortable making that next step, knowing that we already have everything we need to move forward.
Already did that.
Yeah. And then also knowing that it's going to be a mutually beneficial thing. Like you saying, like, my band wants to play your spot doesn't tell me that my spot is going to do well with your band. So doing that research and finding ways to say, like, I see this as mutually beneficial because this. I have this much draw in the area, or I have this other band that's already interested in it. Let's move forward with those kind of things, because so many times a booking email can feel very self-serving and very lackluster to the folks on the receiving end. When you're in a batch of 500, how am I supposed to know what you want? Subject line, date you want, and a brief description of what that is. So, April 27th, Funk Rock Trio, moving forward. Here's the links, here's the EPK. Let's tighten this thing up.
Yes or no. If I don't hear back from you, it's a no.
Yeah.
We haven't confirmed, therefore it ain't happening, so don't show up that day expecting that just because you sent an email.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a dangerously weird thing, and folks feel cheated when they don't have an understanding as far as what you needed to confirm this thing.
And art is such a personal thing for people. And again, holding space for artists, we're a weird bunch of creatures. We're very, I'm not going to say problematic, but enigmatic. We, as artists, we sometimes don't know how to socially interact correctly with whatever the situation is at hand. And it can sometimes be to our detriment. Sometimes the other side of that gets to just kind of reel in that slack and say, I understand what you're kind of trying to do. Here we go.
So when I bring a weapon to an open mic, assuming that you have a back line, that's why I brought my weapon, because I didn't need to bring a guitar. Duh.
Right.
Why am I not the front of the line?
Well, it depends on how hard you brandish, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what am I supposed to do with this bayonet that I brought?
Reenact something.
Damn straight. Okay, so this is what I'm doing. April 27th, Funk Rock Trio, Civil War reenactment. Only one side, because we know who won. Okay. No one wants to wear dunked on. Abe Lincoln Yam.
Yeah, how do you like kangaroos, man? They got them dunkaroos.
Dude, straight up. Could you imagine if we evolved to have a belly pocket? I mean, like, what else?
I got two.
No, don't try to fake me out with your Gap black clothing.
Look, this thing is this hoodie, man. I got actually. Hold on. Look at this. Oh my God, I'm
wrong side of the headphones, Daddy-O. We ain't wireless yet.
I can't deal with this. Hold on. All I wanted to do was show you the back of this thing. Look at it.
Steam them out.
All that matters is that it was hand printed by Andrew Trimley for Adjust Your Eyes years ago, like the original artist who did that stuff, and he also did a bunch of work for Black Signal. Wonderful band, man. That is to say, support art.
Damn straight. Well, and also, what a great way to segue into, like, when you see folks that they're coming into the space, they want to do the full video and whatnot. Y'all are nice enough to provide the merch table and to do that thing. Mm-hmm. But trying to work people through that consumer experience is a really tough thing. Like, I unfortunately didn't have the merch table in the right part of the room last time. It's in the back of the room where it's still kind of dark and you can't see that. It's like someone mentioned that to me after. Okay, take that as a learning lesson. Put it in a place that they have to walk by, that is well lit, and make the appeal to them on stage of why it's worthwhile. For folks that have just streamed Radio Artifact shows and whatnot, what do you think is the beginning of converting those folks into butts and seats? Or is that really even important at the end of the day?
General support, like Patreon is a big one. If you will put $15 into the bucket at the start of the show, I would appreciate it if you deposited another $15 to complete your call 30 minutes into the show if you're liking what you're seeing.
Yeah.
That would be super nice. But...
So, and tell me about the Patreon. Like, how long have y'all had that up?
It's been on for a little while. It's up and going.
It needs some maintenance.
It needs maintenance. It's another. Everything takes attention. Have you ever noticed this? That everything that you do just takes so much attention.
Well, that's the tough thing about converting to a Patreon, is that now you have a premium subscription service that requires premium attention, while the other stuff that is a feeder for that cannot lack. So it's like now you become almost... primarily an online entity, which is, in my opinion, the most fickle type of consumption. Like, again, like, I think when you have butts and seats, you get to walk through the conventional doors. It sucks the air out of the room. Then you get your face rocked. You can walk out and you can participate in the beautiful entity of Urban Artifact with the sweet fruit tart. You can come back inside. And there's something to be said about why that type of performance will always supersede you putting headphones on at home, watching the stream while you play your favorite game online and make some noise on Discord, which we would fully support.
Oh, for sure.
But when it comes to what goes on the Patreon, like what type of content is on there for people to see, and what's the big appeal with it?
Well, isn't that the question? We're working on it is the thing with all of that. It's another gigantic thing to do and organize and create and whatever. So all that is to say, whatever makes it as easy for you.
So more or less that's been on the back burner.
Yeah.
The initial tier, as it were, would be, for instance, when most of the creators that I support personally on Patreon, I have their beginning tier, and I don't even have time to look through their content. So for me, it's just supporting them, because I like what they do.
It's almost like a philanthropic kind of pursuit.
That's not what it started out as, because I would enjoy them, but that's what it's turned out to be.
Yeah.
And someday I'll have the time to go back and maybe consume that content or learn or whatever. So that's baseline. We had, for a while, intentions to move all the back catalog to Vimeo, through an integration with Patreon, so that all the previous shows in full would be available there, and we may still do that. But again, it's time that it takes.
That whole thing about us being the live production, we're also the post production.
Yeah,
and just the time it would take to migrate that stuff. We might have folks to help us sooner than later, but it takes time to do all that.
And are y'all fielding inquiries for folks that would want to participate in what Radio Artifact does?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, shoot us emails or whatever if you want to do a thing and use us like a studio. We are easy to work with, I think. And
when I met more in the way
results.
Folks that are in the production world that see what you two do and they aspire to a similar type of thing, so they would like to be there for some of the busy work of what y'all do to help bear the brunt of that.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we get lots of inquiries for shadows to come in and want to help, but there's this thing where shadows only last when the sun is shining. If the sun's not shining and it's kind of overcast, there's not so many shadows.
Yeah.
And that comes and goes, and that's just people being present for an amount of time, and then they disappear or whatever.
But we're open to it, and it would help.
Help is great.
Yeah, when I think
I feel sort of awkward, because the most accessible things to help with initially in a studio or in our setup is things like busy work.
We've got a lot of stuff that needs sorting.
I would feel awkward just saying, well, you know how to wrap a cable, wrap a cable.
Yeah,
I do not feel awkward saying, here's how to wrap. Let me see how you wrap this cable, and then I'll tell you whether or not you can wrap more of them.
I want to be able to provide some in-depth something of value to folks that are essentially giving their time. They want to help out the endeavor, and sometimes I don't think just being there is enough value. I don't know. It's
but I think that it's a good thing to say, because there's a lot of folks that say they want to be involved in the music industry in some way, shape, or form, and that has changed dramatically in the last 5 to 10 years. It's I think the same folks that would go work as an intern for a label would much rather go intern for an establishment like this and find out how to wrap a cable, find out how to communicate with a band that's coming in about their writer or their backline information, find out what it takes to transition a back catalog to a place like Patreon so that you can see continual revenue come through here and make the difference in what this does. But folks don't know how to necessarily get involved in the industry until they go through and try it themselves and have the wheels fall off, whether that's putting on a house show that gets canned and what it takes to move that into another space, or just reaching out to the right place once you see something that moves you in that kind of a way. If you walked through this venue and you saw a show, you would understand that there is some serious gravity being used to pull the momentum of this thing forward. And if you want to be involved in something that really makes waves like that, then there's ways to do so. But it takes some effort on your end to not just walk in and be an eye over the shoulder. It takes you saying, "Hey, can I learn to rap that?"
And that's all fine. Same thing for getting into a place. If I want to go play at 10 Roof or whatever, or any of these other like wonderful local establishments, step one, go there.
Mm-hmm.
Show up. Just go there. Pushing Daisies, prime example. They came in to see us on just a day. They just, we're going to go there to see if these guys are home. And they came over to the house, they knocked on the door, and they said, "Hey, can we talk to you guys?" And we said, "Absolutely. What do you want to do?" They just told us what we wanted to do. We said, "Okay." And then now they are in, we're friends. Like, there's something like disconnected about emails and even just messages or whatever that is, if you can, stop by a place. Go say hi to whatever the place. If you want to get on stage at like Mike's Music, and shout out to Mike's Music for doing the open mic that they do. Shout out to Bell and the Bear for doing what they do. These are communities where real people are there. Like, we're real people. We're not just like people, robots on the other side of a screen, even though it seems like it.
Yeah.
Just getting to know real people and being reasonable about the expectation, what you're going to get out of the thing.
Yeah, well, I got this club that I'm going to play in Lansdowne, Pennsylvania, right outside of Philly. It's called Jamie's House of Music, and it used to be run out of Jamie's house.
Sure.
And now it's transitioned into this beautiful venue that serves food. It's a sit-down venue. Maybe there's 75 seats in there. It's an amazing place to see a show. And this guy's nice enough to do a similar live stream. He says, if you want to take the live stream home, it costs $100 at the end of the show. And it's like, in my opinion, in a similar way, that's like investing in the full benefit of what this place does. If he makes that offer to me at the end to pay for the work that's already been rendered, and I don't participate in that, I've sold this man short. It's not that he's trying to get cash out of me. It's that he wants me to make the most of the stop. It's like when you come through and you see what's going on in a place like Radio Artifact, invest in the full endeavor of the spot, whether you're a listener and you've come in and you've seen a band that you liked and you didn't know anything about the place and you got your face rocked by the show, and you know you're never going to be in Cincinnati again, you came for this one show, check out the Patreon. Or if you came in and you got your face rocked and you live close enough that you can come back by, keep an eye on the calendar. Because when regular scheduled programming comes up, like First Friday was...
Hip Hop Theater.
Hip Hop Theater. Tell me exactly what that is.
So we're still in the sketching phase, but we've got some local heavy hitters. Like we did The World's a Stage with Kari BTB a couple months ago. Time is weird. Whatever. This whole community of artists that is different than just a rock band or whatever, or that whole side of things, making a hip hop theater presentation and writing this whole thing so that it's a TV show every week.
The whole evening's a narrative performance, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
As really cool. a 2-hour performance with a little bit of pre-roll and a little bit post-roll and sponsorships and that sort of thing. And we're trying to make it as easy as possible for us to just make TV shows, because that then works 24/7. If you want to come and play your show, that's great. You can come and play just your show. Or if you have a larger narrative that's going on with you and what you do, you're a whole world. Matt Waters is an entire world. You've got your entire community of people that it makes... we had a conversation about this, that what's more to it than just playing your songs? How do we deepen the pool of what this content actually is, and why we're making it the way that we're making it? And it's a shared art experience.
Yeah. Well, I think that's really it's telling to the desired output. And we had talked briefly about the songwriter showcase eventually ending up at Radio Artifact, and my hang up initially about it was not having the the backing yet to bring that in and adequately cover for what your time is. But I think trying to keep that in mind of like, how do you make a TV show out of a bunch of songwriter rounds? How do you make it worthwhile for the artists to come here to lend themselves and their catalog to this entity that keeps swimming without you? Like, me and Jimmy Klepper talked about this, and God bless Jimmy Klepper, one of my favorites in the city. Your songs have a passive impact. The moment that they're out of your mouth and they're living, especially online for streaming, they can come across anyone's desk at the best or worst moment of their life and adequately put into words and melody what they needed to hear. And you never know what that passive impact can do without you. In the same way that TV shows or like the sitcoms that remember that my wife accurately described to me as it's comfort food. You know, like, why do you watch Friends for the 15th time? Because it's familiar in the background. It makes you feel cozy and at home. It's like Radio Artifact has the opportunity to do that through, 2 seasons of hip-hop theater. Or 2 seasons of these songwriter rounds where you get familiar with certain cast members. Then you have cameos from John Stamos, who's going to come play the goddamn club, okay? Because the moment they start to get my fan mode, he's going to realize that the food in is going to expire pretty soon. So either eat the sandwich or you don't, John, okay?
No, it's very true, man. And so a thing that we've got going on in February, we just announced this. We've got a band called Big Gorgeous coming in to do their whole thing, and we got Jimmy Klepper and Co. Coming in to do the thing, and Jimmy's incredible. And same thing, being able to capture a performance by an artist like that, and it's just lightning in a bottle is what that is. And Nolan Taylor, that's another one. He came through a little while ago as he was kind of coming up and doing the thing. Next thing you know, I'm not saying it's because of us. I'm saying it's because of the work that he did, but we happen to be a part of that trajectory. That dude just played the Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah.
It's real. If you do it.
It absolutely is. And people need to embrace the fact that this is now a major stepping stone for folks that are hitting some of the biggest programs in the world. It's like, I was listening to Rogan maybe a month ago, and I hear Oliver Anthony, the gentleman who wrote Rich Men of North Richmond, I think is the name of the song. He's talking about how much he loves Nolan Taylor. And I'm like, no fucking way. Because this
prolific.
Because this guy's songs make that kind of impact on folks, and you can't say it's all because of one thing, but
it's right there. Everybody pretty much has a little robot with them all the time that they're you're just sucking on the feed bag of this robot thing, and next thing you know, the robot bag is feeding everybody a whole bunch of Nolan Taylor all of a sudden.
Yes.
And good for him.
Yeah.
Because his product is good.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you say? The cream rises to the top?
Damn straight.
If you're doing something good, people take notice.
Yeah.
And they want to get on that train.
So
I love you, Nolan Taylor.
We all love that Nolan Taylor. As far as it goes for licensing materials to be played on the programs, to go on the Patreon, to be part of the label, how much of a headache has it been to deal with that kind of thing, and where have y'all kind of landed with the smoothest way to process that kind of stuff?
So for licensing, in terms of what we play,
what you play when say people are coming in for a Radio Artifact show, and we're going to roll you one of our other shows up until this band starts, because that's the best way to get people integrated in what we're doing here.
Sure.
Most of those are the pre-roll and post-roll.
Commercials in between is usually stuff from our catalog anyway.
Mm-hmm. The live recorded sessions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if someone came and played a Radio Artifact show and they wanted their material to be included in that, is there any type of paperwork that they have to do for that?
Not specifically.
Okay.
Not in terms of that.
We would,
it sort of depends on the context of what that is. If it's just a performance that we're just kind of filling time with, good for you that I like your song.
Yeah. On a technical thing, we would need to be able to clear that through the Orchard, I think. It was easy. The easiest way was we just told the Orchard, Sony's Orchard distribution service, whitelist all of our social stuff for this catalog that we have. And that was an easy way about it. Otherwise, the bigger artists, they'll get flagged.
Yeah.
We haven't had any strikes, I don't think, for actual music played. We had a weird strike for something else that was never elucidated by YouTube. Thanks, YouTube.
Yeah. Instagram kicked me off for something like that.
And
What did I do?
They never told me. I lost 10 years worth of work on Instagram for things that were never explained to me, and I sent the appeal in with every bit of information I could find, and I never got it back. And
exactly.
That is a weird hand to be held over your head all the time, that if you don't mind your P's and Q's, you can't get yanked off the internet and start fresh.
No, you can't haggle with an obelisk. Like, it's just this like giant faceless space cube that owns your stuff.
It's actually my number one fetish.
Yeah, dude. You like what you like. What are you going to say?
But it's an interesting question of how you clear these things interpersonally, and then with these giant, metaverse, whatever these things exist as, because we want to be able to intermingle as artists. When I have folks come on this program, Jimmy Klepper got his performance on here flagged for copyright because he sounds so much like his record. It's not my fault the man's excellent at recreating his own work, but he came on here live and he gives me permission to do this thing. How you clear that with these later entities is very frustrating because it doesn't help perpetuate the art in any way, shape, or form.
No, it squashes it because that's the nature of being in the Wild Wild West.
Wild Wild West.
Yeah, we're in a new age of like social media and how this thing, like, you're across the table from me, but you're like across the panel from me on the robot machine.
Yeah, and when you're able to watch this through an Oculus Rift, we're actually going to be on opposite sides of a tennis court, and I'm going to be right next to who's the gorgeous man with the headband? Damn it! Oh, Ronaldo? No, that's soccer. I'll find this guy. Okay, I'm not the most familiar.
Rafael Nadal.
Bango.
I was going to say
Leonardo
Michael Jordan. Yeah.
Is that his actual? I probably put two different names together.
No, I think Nadal was the right answer there.
At least on the last name.
Howie Mandel, and we're going to be in a swimming pool this time. And he's a germaphobe, so he's going to be in his own little bubble. But that's how I like it.
Yeah, no, he can do whatever he wants.
But I want to figure these things out in time because, say for instance, I can bring a songwriter showcase to Radio Artifact, which would be an absolute dream to have.
Oh, we'd love to have
it. And I'm sure we'll work it out eventually. Where 1 week a month we can bring folks on here. It's like I intentionally left the Monday's Muse at episode 19 because when we kick back for number 20, it will be a new season and a new space and things will be ready. But you want these folks like a Nolan Taylor or a Jimmy Klepper, whoever, to find themselves in a moment of opportunity for making quality content based on their work that will then serve as a commemoration of where they once were and where they now are in time, while still having permission to let that thing grow and populate the internet as it would. Because it's a very scary moment in time where you're going to get flagged for playing a Katy Perry song in your DJ mix because you wanted to go on Facebook Live. And maybe that's a different thing than live art being performed, but you guys don't differentiate these things, and how am I supposed to conduct my work considering that kind of thing?
It's a tricky slope that we're still figuring out and working our way through. Is sometimes it just will strike you, and for no reason other than
we just don't use anything that's not already in the catalog.
What were we talking about? Mimes earlier?
Yeah.
Like the mime is the future.
Meeting of the mimes.
Yeah.
Well, and if I have to go through and censor everything that gets said on this podcast with Cabbage Patch Kids, every time, it's just like, one, it throws off the context. It's way less funny if we can't curse on here, but like it is the Wild Wild West. It's the internet. It's like, if you choose to subject yourself to the program, then shouldn't you be subjected to the program? No, it's not intended for kids. Neither is this beer. That doesn't mean a kid can't drink it if they choose to and have a lack of supervision. It is non-alcoholic. This show is not going to get you punch drunk unless you do it at warp speed 2 times in reverse. I don't give a fuck what you do, but it's
I'll play it back.
Not play it. Are you spinning yet, kids? But just because you don't have a 4-point harness seatbelt in your car doesn't mean you're less safe than if you get in there, you got the regular hoity-toity,
No, but if you're taking your Toyota Camry out on the F1 track, maybe you should reconsider.
Damn straight. If you don't have the internet speed to handle what I'm putting down, then maybe you shouldn't get up in the mix of this business.
No, and important note here, it's really important as artists and as people. Sometimes criticism isn't necessarily what somebody's looking for, but it's in their best interest to say, you don't have your wheels screwed on all the way. I'm not sure you should roll down that hill.
Do you ever have to say anything like that to bands where it's like they're about to hop into something that's a little too hot and heavy for the internet to see?
Not so much that, but making sure that the wheels are on the car. Sometimes you got to buckle them in.
Yeah.
You know, like check the harnesses, like, because you get somebody that's gung-ho to get up and play, and they don't plug their guitar in, and then they start jangling away, and you say, well...
That's happened.
Yeah, they're not plugged in.
I did that.
Yeah, and not pointing any fingers or anything.
But what was amazing about that is because you guys are so thorough with your multi-track, I still have the DI out from my board. So I still have guitar for the multi-track recording. It doesn't sound like my amp isn't on when we get there, but it's like having redundancy built into your setup, and as Johnny Disco has told me, assessing your points of failure is a really important part of your live show. And don't get up here for the big shebang without going through 50 different processes of that and letting it fall on face on 27, 39, and 48 just to keep the risk up, baby, and knowing that you're going to be okay.
I think this is a good leaping point for, we run the Starship Radio Artifact essentially like pre-flight checklist. You got to make sure that the room's tidy and the stage is tidy and it's ready to go. And then I got to make sure that the lighting is good and that the audio is set to 0 and we're ready to have a band and we've already got everything set and ready. And then I got to make sure that the video program's working and I got to make sure that the aperture is correct on all of the cameras. And I got to
cameras are on.
The cameras are on and I've got like the storage is ready. And then I've got to make sure that the screens are all working. And then we got to make sure that the live stream's working. But then we got to have the physical ticket link. But then we've also got to make sure that the band is here on time and that we're hospitalizing them correctly because we broke their fucking legs if you don't come in here with your best foot forward.
Damn straight. Do y'all have a master checklist of everything that needs to go down? Or is it just you two looking at each other like, oh, that's what I need to do, just straight telepathy?
Yeah, maybe we should write it down.
We've written down several of them, but it's subjective, kind of how like the entire thing works. Like we've got a couple of ways that it does work pretty well usually.
I would love to see like a giant whiteboard that had like check boxes next to like all the normal things, then like an underlined section where you can write like 10 points that this band needs in particular, and at the very bottom of that like bladder emptied, and there's like a big old check, we're moving in, baby.
Dude, it would be twice as long as we thought it would be, because it's like so much of that is second nature, and so as soon as we would have to elucidate that, it becomes exponentially more.
Yeah, each thing is its own tab.
Yeah.
and it is that way. It's complicated. It is a complex system. Even just running like this, is a complicated setup. You've got a couple of cameras. We're running OBS. Like you've got monitors coming in. Like you've got gain staging. Like this is complicated enough.
Yeah. Comparing that to what you guys go through in that setup is disturbing at the very least, to put it. And
to say that, it's that logarithmic curve of how much from like 0 playing an acoustic guitar by yourself in the woods to a Kiss concert is the amount of work that really goes into it, from not just the performance and the artist side, but making sure that your lighting is on point and your audio is on point and that, the hospitality is taken care of, and you're going to break the fucking put them in a hospital. And you're going to have a good time for the rock and roll.
When it comes to keeping your mind straight with doing this and not, pulling your hair out or putting your happiness at a detrimental place of no return, what do you two do outside of these spaces to try to keep things right with the world?
Oh, after you.
His answer is wheelies on a motorcycle. It's fine, okay?
I don't do wheelies.
No, I don't know. Spending quality time with my lady, Colette. I love you.
That was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And
did you do anything, or you just eye contact?
Just eye contact.
Nice.
5 hours till sleep.
The heat is up.
No, we like to go hiking, looking for mushrooms, looking for
Nice.
various things in the woods.
Is shopping around for mushrooms in the Wild Wild West a dangerous hobby to have? You ever found anything poisonous that you shouldn't be ingested?
Found tons of things that are poisonous and should not be ingested.
Do you,
Most of them.
Sometimes, like, it's, not even mushrooms. Like, there's some pretty bad creeks all over the city.
Don't drink that water.
Don't drink that water.
come on, Mom.
Don't let your dog play in that water.
Really?
No, but we found, like, chicken of the woods and
What is chicken?
maitakes
What is
and
chicken of the woods?
It's a polypore fungus. So instead of gills, it has a bunch of little holes in the bottom that grows on mostly hardwood trees around here, and it cooks up like chicken.
Interesting.
Don't go eating mushrooms you find in the woods, even if you think it's right. Make sure that you know it is.
Yeah. Oh, and most of what
Nice.
we're looking for are things that don't have dangerous lookalikes. So, your white button mushroom that you find at Kroger, there's a lot of deadly lookalikes. So if you find something out in the wild that looks like that, don't fuck with it.
Amen to that.
Cabbage Patch.
And was this just a hobby that like you had seen other people partake in, you want to get into, or like what would draw you to the immaculate world of fungus acquirement?
Mycology has many callings. But for us, I think it was maybe the pandemic and finding stuff to do. And I had always wanted. I've never found a morel. If you know where they are, let me know. I'll give you a free T-shirt. I don't know. Free entrance.
One ticket.
One ticket.
You
But-
bring it in a shiny box.
And it's a lot more accessible now. So there's an app for identifying plants. There's an app for identifying mushrooms. And as long as you make sure there's no deadly lookalikes for what you're trying to look for, it can be easy and rewarding.
Have you always enjoyed cooking?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is the world of fungus just like, is it very malleable, or do you find a lot of these have potent enough flavor categories that like you're running with it as the ingredient, not as a medium like tofu?
Sort of. Like shiitakes have very, very distinct, like very powerful. Not. Mostly it's a medium and a general earthiness. When you get to things like, what are the truffles? Never found a truffle. Never will. And that's okay. Those are like a condiment. So most of the aroma is from that, but it is definitely a condiment because by weight, it is not the tofu of the dish.
And do you find having a hobby that is like the opposite of what you do in the work category, where like you get in the microbial life of CAD cables and a Dante network and whatnot, just going out and being interested in something that does appear in its own fully formed natural state? Like, is that part of a balancing act of you as a person, or is it just like, I like to get in the weeds with everything I do?
There's probably an interesting point there in the cooking side, and to go back, it is sort of like the cables sometimes turn out like little mycelial networks at the end of the night, and we have to go and
I
bring.
get to knock over the sandcastle.
And then break their legs.
And
Break
Oh,
their
legs.
fucking legs. Put 'em in-
responsible for the hospitalization.
That's never gonna live. That's never gonna die.
I love it.
Well, I'm never eating at your house. Devin, what do you do to balance out there?
I'm in a similar boat. Like I ride my motorcycle, I play my bass, I hang out with my wife, and I hang out with my family. I enjoy spending quality time with friends and just being present. That's the biggest thing, because that makes the tedium of everything else not more bearable, but bearable in the first place. Because life is fucking tedious.
Yeah.
And no matter how many times I do the dishes or the laundry, there's going to be more later. And human speed and just being patient with, all right, the day has started. What do I get to do? I get to just breathe through it an amount of times all day, hopefully, and then tomorrow I'll do the same thing.
Are either of you guys insomniacs? You will sleep well enough?
Depends on the timing.
Yeah.
And what all is going on in life. There's a lot of extenuating circumstances that contribute or hinder my manic functionality.
I am starting to have more belief that folks that are kept up at night, like there's some kind of subliminal calling in whatever that dumb thing is that you circulate on for hours and hours. Like, for me, it's either lyrical content without a home, something to get up for, or it's retracing something incredibly embarrassing from my childhood, which I think we get a lot of those, but I think there's a second calling in that. I must right some of my wrongs.
Right. Yes.
No. This is more about getting Legos out from under people's feet. You know what I'm saying? It's my worst of offenses.
That's a fair thing to do, like being, spending time mulling over and just being thoughtful people. Having those in your life really goes a long way. If you're spending a lot of time with people that don't send you into thought and make you question things and tickle your glitches in a way that makes you curious, what are you doing? Like, I enjoy spending time with my friends that make me think about stuff, and I enjoy it's not the destination, it's the journey. To enjoy the time that we get to do something, not the end result necessarily, is kind of how the whole thing operates. Yeah,
it's always interesting when you have friends that there's some folks like the two of y'all that the moment the conversation starts is a moment I know we're going way deeper than anticipated, okay? If I pull you aside at any point, I give you any comments, we're going to go deep into the solar plexus. I don't know what we're talking about, but we're going to get to God at some point. Then there's some people where it's all I'm going to ever have with you is small talk. And seeing them both for worthwhile is a very difficult part of the pursuit of being a person and managing relationships like that. But also just find what I get from you is what I get from you. If I choose to partake in that, then I must have some kind of outcome with it. And if I'm dissatisfied with that, I'll interact with you less.
And meeting people where they are. Again, everybody's coming from somewhere, and you never really know what other people are going through unless they tell you explicitly what they're dealing with or whatever. But just meeting people where they are and not having an expectation of what you're going to get out of them or what you think you're selling to them or what it's relationships are not always necessarily need to be transactory. I don't need anything from you, or I don't expect anything from Andrew. I don't expect anything from you, but I'm thankful for the gift of your presence, of just sharing the time, and we get to work on this while we do.
We do get to do it.
But that's a really tough thing when you work really intimately with someone often. It's the relationship becomes more transactional as you have more transactions. So it's important to try to pull away from that instinct after a while. Like Nick Hack and I can kind of get to that point where it's we're working together so much where what we need right now is to play video games and scream at a fucking computer for a little bit. Most of the time it's Rocket League, and we refer to that as world domination. We are a bad team at Rocket League. We very rarely win.
Excellent.
But if we're going to get buttered up and go play some Rocket League, we're taking over the world, and we need that for some mutual bonding time.
I love it.
You ever get in the Rocket League?
No.
Oh.
Nope.
Neither of you guys?
No, I don't really play games.
That's too deep. Are you sure about that?
Not usually, no.
Do you want to repeat that answer one more time?
I don't usually play games.
We all play games.
Well, I'm in a game of hospitality, I'll tell you that.
Whoa, that's deep. I'm going to start asking receptionists at the front desk of hotels, are you playing the game of hospitality? Why are you whispering?
The hospitality.
I was watching How I Met Your Mother with the wife yesterday. That's been her more recent binge, and I'm just always subject to whatever she's binging. And the receptionist at the hotel says there's been many conceptions between these walls. Would you leave if someone told you that, or would you be more enthralled about staying there that night?
I mean, worse things could happen, right?
You got to look at the litmus. What does the ground say?
Do I have a black light or not? Am I just going... if I could alter my biology for any reason, I wouldn't want to be able to zoom with my eyes. I want to be able to blacklight with my eyes. And then I need a hard reset button if I need to get something out of short-term storage, because if I have to stay there and I blacklighted this thing and I don't like the outcome, they're not giving me another room because of that. I just need to forget about it and move on. But that'd be super neat if I could just flip in, you know, it's like an alligator, like a second set of eyelids.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'd want that power.
All right, come on.
Maybe
all
I
right.
would, but
You just walking
with the
around
reset, with the
Yeah.
reset.
Well, yeah.
Ew.
You're like, I thought this was a Penn Station.
Oh, it still is.
Dun, dun, dun.
Hey, shout out the Penn Station.
Shout out
They
to
do
Penn
good.
Station. Definitely no cum there, I promise.
Oh God.
It was maybe 8 months ago. I went into a restaurant that I'm not going to say the name of it, but it's close to Way Sub. And for a place that has so many vegetable options to put on your Way Sub sandwich, there was a lot of fake plants in there that were terminally dusty. Okay, like your fake plants don't look right.
Ghoulweed?
What?
Ghoulweed.
Are you talking about the ghoulweed? Like Ariel's dad
You know
in
when
Little Mermaid?
Yeah, when she's like swimming through that little layer into Ursula's thing, and those little ghoulweed things are.
But they're
all
hanging
her
from the
little
ceiling? Is
souls and
that what you're
shit?
talking about?
No, I'm talking about like a
Okay.
fake tree.
Yeah,
that's just-
yeah, but it's got ghoulweed on it.
Yeah. And
It grows ghoulweed. Is what we
I'm
call
missing
it.
something here. I don't.
Okay.
Should I rewatch?
You don't
Little
have
Mermaid?
any ghoulweed
I can
growing
pause
here.
this. Why would I give you fake plants when I have mold growing in some? Turn your black light eyes on.
Look, it's not mold. It's people.
It's
Dun,
people.
dun, dun.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just
people.
evolutionarily a couple millennia behind, but eventually it will be people.
Yeah, you go any place that doesn't like dust often enough, and there's ghoulweed
You're
hanging.
like, what's this on my sandwich? I was like, that's your future neighbor. Would you put it down for the love of God?
No, that was your neighbor.
John Stamos, quit trying to eat your neighbors. I just keep mailing you this food.
God bless John Stamos.
Indeed, indeed. Before this show goes off the rails and into uncategorized
We're there
nonsense,
already.
I wouldn't say that. I think people love this. I really do. Is there anything that you two would like to promote in your own lives, in Radio Artifact, or anything outside of the current circumstances?
Well, we've got Radio Artifacts up and going. We're a radio station, 91.7 FM WVXU. We're streaming 24/7 on there. We're a record label. You can find us wherever you look for your streaming platform, whatever that is. And then we're also doing in-studio things. We're available for recording sessions. We've got lots of shows coming up. We've got programming this year that's going to be conducted a little differently than we have in the past. It's been a refinement of figuring out what works and what doesn't work for because we're a unique thing. It's, I love the Northside Tavern, I love Motor Pub, I love the Woodward Theater and 20th Century Theater, and I love Madison Theater and Madison Live and the Bell and the Bear, and I love Mike's Music, and they all do a really good job at the thing that they're doing. The Comet, hats off to them, like Burrito Boys and them, like they're killing it. I'm just going to say a bunch of other things like that. But those are all great things. Southgate House Revival, these are all institutions, right, for art. And that's like one kind of thing to do. We're a different sort of thing. And I want to say nice things about those things because we're kind of a different thing.
Yeah.
Like you can come to a show at us, but it's a different kind of presentation. It's
a whole different experience.
yeah, it's a different thing.
And it has more opportunities to consume what y'all do in a passive sense for your long drives, for your late night binges, than just the in-person stuff. But hopefully it drives you to enjoy all grounds of the things that y'all develop.
Oh, for sure. And I think the biggest thing is, hey, look at us on your little robot device that you keep in your pocket all the time. And, you're on TikTok or, Instagram or whatever that thing is that you're on. Maybe just flip on over to radioartifact.com and see what's going on. 'cause
Shabango.
And
that's
then
where you
come
can
in
find us.
studio.
And
Yeah.
then come to the studio.
And then in time, join on Patreon, support in the ways that you can. And I'll also have my new album coming out, which was filmed and performed at the beautiful Radio Artifact sometime in 2024.
And you
Send
did
it
so
on to
good.
us. We'll put it on air.
I would love that.
We love you.
Thank you all for watching. The beautiful Andrew Tetric and Devin Z. Brooks. Peace, players.